Tenet number one, we have a God-given vision. Our vision is not from me or not from you.
So God is the author of vision. And when we talk about vision, we talk about seeing, right? Because the word vision is about seeing. So we have to understand too, that is how God sees things about our ministry and about our life. And when we talk about the God is the author of vision, God has the plan for our life, for our ministry. Our job is to align ourselves with what God is seeing.
As you think about David, and he had a vision for the nation of Israel, and his vision wasn't, how can I become king? That was Saul's vision. David's vision wasn't, how can I be fulfilled? How can I feel complete? You see, David, his one big desire and his one big picture that he had out in front of him was, what does God see for the nation of Israel? And that's what he followed after. That's what he sought after. And when we have a God-authored vision, that's what we follow after. What is God's vision? What's God's picture? What's God's heart for the ministry, for the church that we pastor, for the people that we lead, right? For the nations.
And as leaders, we need to learn how to sit in His presence, to hear from Him, to receive from Him. And if not, we're going to become a man that lead by our own vision. You know, the Bible said David is a man after God's heart, which means he wasn't after the plan or only the kingdom or the vision. He was after the heart of the Father. And as we learn how to sit in the presence of God, that's where we can hear the plan of God and the vision of God in our life.
Habakkuk, for example, he didn't say, write your vision and make it plain so that he that reads it can run with it. He said, write the vision, God's vision. He was actually in a time of prayer, right? He said he's standing in his watch, listening to see how God was going to adjust and realign his life when God spoke to him. And God said to him, write the vision. Well, what is the vision? The next verse says, watch out for the proud. His heart is not upright in him, but the just will live by his faith. And of course, the just will live by his faith. Oh, that was God's vision, right? That's God's vision for you and I. And Paul caught on to that, and he taught that and preached it all through the New Testament, all through his epistles, his sermons, you know. He lived that out. The just will live by his faith. And the opposite of that is watch out for the proud. His heart is not upright in him. So Habakkuk's praying in a time when Israel's scattered. I don't know, you could say they're visionless, or maybe they're just following their own vision or whatever. And God says, here's the alignment. Watch out for the proud. His heart is not upright in him. He's not going to do the thing that needs to be done. He's not going to go the direction that God's heart would take him. Watch out for the proud. And so when it comes to a matter of vision, if there's any pride there, watch out, man. It's not the right one. It's not the real deal. But the just will live by his faith.
As leaders, we lead from our conviction. And so the question I want to ask you is, where does your conviction come from? Because it's so easy for us to be inspired by other good ideas we see, other examples of success in ministry, other things that people are doing. You know, you hear a great story of how God's moving in some way and we go, man, maybe if we did that, then that's where our key of success would come from. But the key to our success actually comes from obedience to the voice of God. And so it's easy for us to become really passionate about something that's a good idea, but it's actually not God's idea.
So we can always ask ourselves, what is the motivation behind our accomplishments, or behind our efforts, behind our exploits, you know, behind the things that we're doing? What's motivating us? Is it a kingdom vision? Is it God's vision? To see what God has in his heart come to pass in the earth? Or is it a vision to see what I can accomplish?
We want to be obedient. We want to lead from a position of obedience, not a position of ideas. You know, God is a creative God, and he has so many creative avenues for us to do ministry and to be effective in the thing that he's called us to do. But that creativity needs to be birthed out of hearing the voice of God. If we take a good idea and we're trying to push our creativity into it, we're going to be frustrated. The people around us are going to be frustrated. And so if God really is the author of our vision, then we need to get our conviction from the voice of God and move in obedience. A good idea is not a God idea, and I want a God idea because that's what's going to move us forward.
If God is truly the author of our vision, we'll know it. Because if the vision is authored by some man, it will lead to conflict, actually to a power struggle, because it becomes about ownership. But if the vision really is God authored, you know, what we do, reach, teach, and mobilize, if that comes from God, God has given that to us, right?
The second way that I'm going to show you that this is a God-given vision is that it actually works. It prospers. Regardless of the situations you face, regardless of the obstacles, we always prosper in the face of every adversity, in the face of every issue. We prosper because when God is behind a vision, you can't help but prosper.
There's some great fallacies that you hear perpetrated in Christian teaching. Things like, well, if you'll be faithful in another man's vision, God will give you a vision of your own. Absolutely not true. A man with his own vision is a man that's headed for destruction, headed for pride. But a vision that's authored by God doesn't come with that sense of, can't be done without me. I'm the kingpin around here. Without me, this vision would fail. If that's the case, then it's a man-authored vision.
But the just will live by his faith. Now, in that vision statement, the just will live by his faith. Every breathing moment, every step of the way, every decision, every response to what you see going on around you, the just will live by his faith. Our vision is to reach, to teach, and to mobilize, and that happens in every area. We reach people and bring them into the Bible college. We're not just reaching them and bring them into the church. We want people to come into reach, and we want them to be trained, and we want to mobilize them into the ministry.
So it's about people. It's not good enough just to bring someone to a church and leave them there as a convert, but we really need to teach them, train them to become disciples of Christ, and then mobilize them into the Great Commission destiny. And that's a whole process that it requires a lifetime of investment and commitment from us, as well as from the people that are going to come in and be mobilized. So discover your destiny and run after it, because we are here to help you.